Hey there. So, let's finish up the spine. Let's get these guys rocking and rolling. Um, you can see I've added a base to this just so you get a sense of what I've done. I just wanted a base just to make that a little bit, have some kind of ground for me to work from. Things are going to start to be, they're going to start to get finished pretty fast at this point. So, having some finished presentation would be really nice. So let's get into it. G for solo mode. Okay, let's take a look at these guys. Control Shift click. Tick, 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 tick. Alright, and let's also hide the pelvic bones. Do we want to shift anything? Is there any innate desire? Now, of course, these are the simplified vertebrae. These are not sculpted in any intense major way, and the neural spines are not far enough out, really. So again, very simple, but that's kind of the goal, to keep it really, really easy to understand what's happening here. If your vertebrae is, more advanced, then use that by all means. Okay, so we have something really interesting going on here that we got to be clear about. We do not have, in fact, let's zoom out a little bit. We do not have a situation where sorry, let me be clear. In terms of gesture, we have a line that moves kind of up like this. Okay? And that might lead you to think, that this model is going to be moving up and everything about it is rotating up. So there's the pelvis, the rib cage, the head's up there, the arms are reaching up to the sky, and you got one leg coming in, you got another leg back here, and everything is kind of reaching up. But we threw one kink into this. You got an arm reaching back. And so that arm reaching back is actually changing one of the really important dynamics that we have going on here. And that is that the rib cage is not in and of itself kind of tipping forward for this grand heroic plateau of the chest and strong face looking up into the sky, all that stuff. That's just not what's happening. What's happening is that, let's clear out, is that the rib cage, let's just do that line nice, long, and green, let's say. The rib cage is tilting backwards, okay? And the pelvic area, or the pelvic bone, might also be tipping backwards, okay? Partially to accommodate this knee that's raised, because now that knee is going to be where the force is basically launching off of. So that might be one element of why that's happening. Okay, and then that's going to naturally cause this leg to bend a little bit, and then on from there. But the real reason why is because we're reaching back in space here, and we're really gathering energy. This guy's off doing its thing. So what I want to emphasize is that we have a compression, we have a folding happening here. This is coming down and coming up. Let's do that somewhere where you can see it. So it's not just that traditional, that strict green arch that we have, even though that is part of that gesture. In this particular pose, if you take it yourself, you'll start to, and just, go back and forth between lifting your ribcage up and bending it, tilting it down. You'll get a sense of it, but this means that we're going to be changing the lumbar vertebrae column. So instead of this kind of shooting up like it is in the model right now, we're going to convert that so it starts to come at things from a different direction. Okay, and that does require us to tilt the pelvic area. But that's going to be the most logical explanation for everything that happens here. So where would we rotate this? Where would be the center of rotation? Well, this is actually pretty good, I think. Although I'm not quite sure where it went. But you could technically see right about here to be the center of rotation, although there is a point in space right there. That's called the lumbosacral angle, and that can be used to define, a variety of different things in terms of the angle of the pelvic area, how far tilted it is, all that stuff. Anyways, let's select somewhere around there. I'm going to guess, and then just tilt it back. Okay, you don't want to tilt it back a whole bunch, but we do want to tilt it back. And you got to keep in mind that you got to keep in mind what you're doing here, because you're going to have to replicate this with the muscles that are there. So that's kind of really important as well. And so now we've got these guys largely clear the mask. In fact, just lost my brain. Let's just do this the hardcore way. Okay. And move is on. And what I'm going to do is just grab really large in the center, making sure that that's pretty dead on. Straight up and down. About like that. Okay, let's also get with a little bit of that compression. Okay, a little bit of the rotation is happening. So these guys are rotating, and down at the bottom they're pretty fixed, but up at the top that's rotating a lot more. So we want to make sure that we're calculating that into our equation and that we are rotating these. Any thoughts on how you might do that? Well, I would probably just push that through myself. And you got to be careful, there's going to be some warpage. Or I'm undoing that massive issue there. And we have polygroups. So we can rotate. Let's put it right in the center. Rotate slightly. Let's just see how this works out. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Okay, however you want to do it. Mine's all jacked up a little bit, but I'm not going to really sweat it for this guy. Okay, and so let's do a little work here. Now, if you go this route, just make sure you move these ribs. Okay, there's a little bit of flexion that can happen. Not a whole lot. Okay, just gonna finish this up a little bit. Alright, you see the complexity of what's happening in the lumbar, and then the simplicity of what's happening in the thoracic. So, lumbar region, thoracic region, cervical region, and the cervical region is going to be another area, a little bit of complexity. So let's get these guys. C7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and we have a distinct twist. So let's start with the top. And drag out some line. Make sure perspective is off so we're not getting a lot of distortion. I drag it off the model, and then I'm going to try to center it a little bit. Okay. All I'm concerned about is rotation right now. I'm not concerned about its axes or anything. I just want to get its spin rate right. That's what I would probably say. So that spin looks about right. Okay, we've moved the pivot. That's not good. That's why each time I selected, I went into draw mode. Okay, into rotate. Okay, I'd say we were close with the spin, but we were definitely off in other aspects of the orientation of this. So we have spin, but we need to calculate what's happening from here to here.
I didn't really like that. It really caused some potential problems. So spine tip to spine tip. Okay, move on to our next vertebrae. Okay, I'm going to twist it, move it, and of course doing that blind. Okay, and I need to make a quick modification to all of them individually. So I'm just going to move and use polygroup. I'm looking around, and we're not quite at the atlas. There we go. Okay, that's going to open it up a little bit. We're obviously going to get some compression in there. And I don't have these 100% accurate for the sides, so overlapping is actually going to be just fine. Okay. Number 2 might go up a little higher, something of that nature. But I'd say we're within par. Now I have mask by polygroup still on, so I can come in and just make them look a little cleaner in terms of how they connect. Okay. Let's check that out. The spine looks like we're in shape. Compression on the sides. And a tiny bit of spin. Okay, I think we're in good shape. Now, the next thing really is the muscle groups.